We talking about sports. We're talking shop. It's me and Roland here. We're running a two-man weave. We talking shop is just a little bit of a little
A little
show where we
condensed.
yes, a little more condensed. Roland, you're the aficionado with the vocabulary here. I'm just a guy
Yeah.
who puts all the pictures up. But yes, it's a condensed show. We have three topics. They're on your screen. We talking shop. We're gonna talk about Jerry and Netflix. We're gonna talk about the East Finals game one that already happened, and then we're talking about the West Finals, which happens in about an hour. Roland, have you heard this story, man, about Jerry Jones and the deal with Netflix?
I have, and it's unfortunate because I wish I would have been hearing a little bit more about, the Cowboys and their offseason signings and whatnot. But it seems like Jerry Jones, he's still focused on the brand of the Dallas Cowboys. And, we hear about their value in Forbes every other year when those lists come out and the Cowboys are worth 8 billion and they're worth 10 billion the next year. So Jerry's still focused on that. And, he probably got a little jealous of what was going on with the Patriots and the dynasty. But fact of the matter is the dynasty just happened for the Patriots. The Cowboys are going back, 30 years or so into the inception of it. So it's a little bit different, but yeah, I heard about it.
So the thing with this is that it isn't just a 10-part docu series that's going to have interviews with the players. And it's kind of like that 30 for 30, the untold sports shows that you see on Netflix, but he also has a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader docu series on there as well. And then he's also going to do the Tyson Fury, the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight exclusively on Netflix. And guess where that's going to be at? Jerry's World, AT&T Center. But my opinion is this. I wish we would have heard more of offseason moves. Hey, Jerry went and signed this guy. Jerry did this in the draft. It's no, let me add to my estimated $9 billion that the Cowboys are worth in 2023. It wasn't the headline that I like to see from my boys. And it's just another sign, Roland. I think that Jerry's focus may not be so much more on the team, but the overall business of the Dallas Cowboy franchise.
Yeah, and he's always been a guy that's obsessed with making sure everybody knows the legacy of the
Yeah.
Cowboys and what he has had to do with that legacy. I mean, we all know the story between him and Jimmy Johnson and the credit and whatnot, and that hatchet finally got buried this past year with Jimmy Johnson going into the Cowboys Hall of Fame. Rightfully so, should have been done years and years ago. But this just shows you, Jerry Jones, like you said, Ron, just focus on something else, not so much the team right now. Although we are all in by his accord.
Yeah, all in. Yeah, he spoke so well at that press conference, right? Everything made sense. But all right, let's move on, man. East Finals game one. It already happened last night. I didn't really watch the game, I'll be honest. So we could go ahead and I'll let you take over here, man, on this one. It was a high scoring game. That's all I know. They were shooting the lights out.
Yeah, high scoring game. And, Ben and I talked about it a little bit when we were previewing the Eastern Conference Finals with the Pacers and the brand of basketball that they play. It's constantly up the floor. They're pushing it. They're pushing it off the inbound, off a make, off a miss. It does not matter. The Pacers are going to push it, and then they're going to come and press you on the other end on the defensive side of the ball. So that automatically speeds up the game. The Celtics, they don't play the slowest pace either, but they also do, play a 5 wide out style basketball. Everybody kind of takes turns going 1-on-1 here and there. Highly competitive game. The Pacers, they were just coming off of a game 7 with the Knicks, so people thought they might have been a little flat, but surprised people, really came out strong in that first half, showed the Celtics, hey, we're here, we're not to be messed with. Draymond Green was making fun of the Eastern Conference Finals and the Pacers, saying somebody had to get there, still calling them a regular season team. It was like, hey, I think they've proven a little bit more now at this point. Although, fast forward to the end of the game, the Celtics almost blew it. They had the game in tow kind of towards the end, let the Pacers take control, and then Jaylen Brown with his heroics. And that's kind of where the controversy has been at today in terms of, the sports talk. They were down 117, 114 with a couple seconds left.
I heard about that.
Off the inbound, they find Jaylen Brown. Spicy P or Pascal Siakam runs out with the breakdown to try and contest the shot. People are saying you're down 3 or you're up 3, excuse me, with a couple seconds left. That's an automatic forced foul, send him to the free throw line. The only problem with that is they caught Pascal Siakam in a closeout, and Jaylen Brown was already going up with the shot. So you're caught in a catch-22 there. If you go for the foul and try and foul the guy, Jaylen Brown is going to go up with the shot and continue to follow through with that and, get you to foul him for 3 anyways. So kind of controversial there at the end, but I'm okay with the no foul. Celtics end up taking over in overtime, win the game, and the series price reopened. I think they're over minus 1,000 now to win the series. The Pacers, you really feel like they missed their shot to steal one, because I feel like they woke up the Celtics a little bit. Don't want to be long winded, but the Celtics seems like every series they need one of these games. They're like, hey, what are we doing here? It happened with the Miami Heat in the first series. That we all know the story with the Heat. No Jimmy Butler. I think they were down a couple of other guys, and then they break the franchise record for playoff threes made in a game. So just shit like that happens to the Celtics each series. So I think this is like that one game that the Pacers could have stolen. But there's nothing better than having one of these games and still coming out with a W. But yeah, that's my take on the game.
Yeah, man. No, and I completely agree with you. The biggest takeaway for me was that the Celtics didn't get pushed around at Boston Garden. We saw that happen in their series before, like you mentioned. And the Celtics always give you that opinion, like, okay, what are they going to do to mess it up? They always choke. They're not consistent. We thought that maybe the Pacers come out and win game one, and they had a chance to win game one. It was a wake-up call for the Celtics, but I think that even though they won and even though they scored, over like 130 points or something like that, I still think that they're very susceptible to getting beat at home, as we've seen in previous series. I think the Indiana had a huge momentum boost off of that Game 7 win against the Knicks. Dude, they were like in the press conference, and they had, Miles Turner had the sunglasses on, dressed in all black, looking like John Wick. Dude, they're confident, man. They're confident. And that's why I said, let's sprinkle a little something on them to not just win the series, but to win the championship, because they're a team. If they can get hot, they can beat the Celtics. And then, say they go and face Minnesota, who I think is going to win. Defensively, it'll be tough for them, but they're just basically the wild card, man. I mean, they're at plus 2,800, I think, to win the series. There's 4 teams left. Why not? You never know what can happen. That was my biggest takeaway, is that the Celtics got pushed to the brink again. It wasn't like Celtics game 1 at home. The spread, I think, was 7 or 8, something high like that.
It closed 9.
Yeah, it closed at 9. You think they're going to come out and they're going to put it on Indiana, who had trouble against the Knicks, who had a lot of injuries. But guess what? They didn't do it. They had to go to overtime. I think that it's going to be very tough for the Celtics in game 2. I think Indiana's momentum is all the way up, and I think they have a chance to win game 2. So that's enough with the East. I know you're waiting for this. I know you're not as big of a fan of this guy as I am, but we'll take it to the West here.
Gotta give credit where credit is due.
All right, man. So let's go ahead and take it into the West. West Finals game 1. What do you think is going to happen tonight, bro?
Man, so the Western Conference Finals, it's a great matchup. You got the Wolves going up against the Dallas Mavericks. We all know what they had to do to get here. The Wolves took down the defending champs in 7 at home on the road in Denver. We all saw what happened at the end of the game with Ant waving to the crowd and Jokic getting pissed, and Ant looking him directly in the eyes and saying, "Hey, look at the scoreboard. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. You couldn't stop me, so I'm going to celebrate." The Wolves play a defensive branded style of basketball. We talked about it before when we were breaking down, that game 7. And then you got the Mavericks, one of the hottest teams coming into the playoffs, continue to play hot. PJ Washington has stepped up throughout this playoffs, particularly this last series as the third kind of scorer.
Yeah.
This series is kind of different for me because I feel like the Mavericks had the interior advantage against Chet and OKC. They're really not much to offer in that front line, and we saw the rebounding advantage. I think one of the games, the rebounding total was 47-31 in favor of the Mavericks. That is pretty ridiculous. So when it comes down, when you look at that advantage, in my opinion, goes away when you're going up against the front court from the Timberwolves and from Minnesota with Cat and Gobert. So my real short, I guess, and quick take after all of what I said is I like the Wolves to win this game 1. I feel like the home crowd is going to come out. This is the first conference championship game they've had in some time since Kevin Garnett was there. I fully expect this team to be up for this game, despite just coming off of game 7 and catching the Mavericks, who I also think played a game 7 as well. So both these teams very tested. Give me the Wolves at home, though. Going to be a little bit slower pace, but I do expect there to be some points here.
I think it's going to be a lot easier than that for the Wolves, bro. I could see a sweep. I'm going to sprinkle a little something on the sweep. If not maybe a little gentleman sweep. Reason being is that Shea was the only guy for the Thunder who was giving the Mavs any trouble. Let's just be honest. He had no help.
No
Nobody
help.
else was doing their job. Nobody else could, throw the ball in the ocean if you were OKC. Shea had to drop 30 to 35 to 40 points just to keep them, competitive. And if you're the Mavs, you cannot do that against these Wolves. All right. I think they took them to 6, but even then, one of the games, was still kind of close. So I think that the Wolves are just too good defensively as well. You have a banged up Luka. Kyrie, I don't think he touched 20 points that whole series. I mean, maybe he did once or twice, but there was a game where he had 7, another game where he had 9. Whether he was holding off to be the facilitator or not, you can't play like that in the Western Conference Finals. Down low, like you mentioned, I mean, who are the guys for the Mavs? Lively and who's that other
Lively and
big?
Gafford.
Gafford. Yeah, Gafford's been getting a lot of run. They look great, but like you mentioned, it was Chet and it was a team that didn't have great bigs. You're going to go up against the defensive player of the year and Cat, who's going to spread you out and shoot the 3 ball. I think it's going to be a lot tougher, man, for the Mavs. And Luka's not just going to be able to carry the team on his back. I mean, he wasn't hitting, 40-point, 45-point games. He was 27, 29 range, but you can't do that, man. You can't put it all on Luka the way that you did against OKC. So I think it's going to be an extremely uphill battle for the Dallas Mavericks. I see the Wolves in 4, possibly 4, but for sure I would say 5. They're going to get it done early, man. They're hungry.
Yeah, my thing here, and I do think the Wolves are going to win the series. I said earlier today, I think they'd be probably 4-2 in my guesstimate, just because I have that much respect for Luka. I think Luka can have 1 or 2 of those games where he's just controlling everything. And, he gets you your 40-point triple-double and, kind of just wills you to victory. But why I ultimately think the Mavs are going to lose a series is because, to what you were talking about just a little bit earlier, the trouble that they had with OKC. Where do you go after Luka if Kyrie is not hot, right? And that answer for right now has been PJ Washington, right? Yeah. PJ Washington has stepped up and he averaged 20 in that last series. Now we like to bet on that, but do we think that that's going to happen again this series? I would say no, and that's why I think Minnesota they're going to be fine. I think they have a bunch of guys just like OKC did to throw at the guards and Luka and Kyrie defensively to kind of keep them at bay. You're never going to truly stop. Kyrie or Luka. Luka more so because he's just a beast right now.
I heard you and Ben talking about PJ Washington was only relevant in the last series because he was scoring a lot of points, but because he got like some porn star girl, baby mama, or shit like that. Those are the Renner chick. But I think we were talking about it in our chat, and I said PJ Washington isn't going to be putting up 20 this series. Who was guarding him? Last series.
When you're PJ Washington, but see, that's the thing though, Ron. When you're the third guy on the offense, you're also going up against a third guy on the defense, right? You're probably not going up against the other team's best defender.
Who do you
might be left alone
with? Who do you think he'll get matched up with?
So Ant has already said, he wants to come out and guard Kyrie.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure McDaniels is going to be on Luka for a lot of this series.
Mm-hmm. So that leaves who, like Conley?
Probably going to get matched up with Conley. They're going to see, but that's what happens in the playoffs. You've seen it all the time. You hide your weakest defender on who you think is the
weakest link offensively.
The weakest link offensively, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and that's probably what's going to happen. Got to look out for Conley. I think he's a little banged up right now. But that's where the Mavs are going to need, PJ Washington to continue playing at this level. I just don't think that he can keep it up. If he does, props. And if he does keep it up, this could be a Mavs victory. In terms of them winning the series,
that huge X factor that always comes out in the playoffs. One thing I wanted to ask you was legacy wise, man. We've been talking about it all playoffs. It's like the face of the game is changing, out with the old, in with the new, guys like Luka, Tatum, obviously Ant. So if the Wolves win this series, how big is that for Ant? Because it's like Ant versus Luka, clearly, right? And Luka's supposed to be the next big guy, but here comes Ant. Do you think that this is going to be a rivalry, like a new, LeBron, Steph kind of thing?
I don't know if it'll be.
Is this just like the first, step in the staircase to come of Luca versus Ant. And I wouldn't go back and say like Jordan versus Isaiah or anything
Sure.
like that, but could it get there? Could it
Yeah,
get to
I
like
mean,
one of the biggest rivalries
to your point, I
in
mean, look,
NBA?
to your point, I'm going to say in short, yes, I do think it can get there. And, the reason why I do think it can is because at 22 years old, he's
Mhm.
already experiencing
How old
this
is
amount of
Luca?
success.
20.
Luca he's still on those 25 under 25 lists. I think he's still at 25.
I felt like
Uh,
he's been in the league for like 10
And
years
he's
already.
been in the league for a minute. Luka's a seasoned vet, and even before then, he was playing pro ball in
Yeah.
Europe. So Luka's a seasoned vet at this point. But to your point of what you were saying,
Yeah.
leading up to your question, is we have experienced a true changing of the guard. These are now Ant and Luka. Besides Wembanyama, the two best
Yeah.
players
True.
in the West, maybe, and besides Jokic, obviously too. Jokic
Mhm.
is up there, but
Yeah, but he's not in that under 25,
for sure, Jokic is a little
range.
bit older. He's already 28 years old.
Yeah.
Still in his prime, not taking anything away. But it's Ant, Luca. I would put them both above Booker.
Yeah, Booker fell off this year compared to all that hype that they were giving him 2 years ago with the commercials everywhere and the shoe and all these deals.
yeah,
And one of the Jenner sisters, I think it was Kendall Jenner, and all that shit.
yeah. But for
Yeah,
sure,
man. Me, if Ant wins that, I think it's a big for him.
oh yeah, no, 100%. Because I think Ant
Good.
is just he wasn't on this list before. Like he wasn't this high on the list before. I'm trying to pull up because they just did a 25 under 25 list today.
Oh,
So
okay.
let's see here. So as of today, 25 under
Yeah, man.
25
I think.
according to the Ringer.
Okay.
Let me just tell you the top five. Tell me if you
You're
agree
good.
with this. Wembanyama, number one. He's 20. He's 20, I think, just turning 21. Edwards at 22. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I think, checks in at 24. Another guy that feels like he's been in the league forever,
Yeah.
even dating back to when he was with the Clippers. And then Luka Doncic at number 4 at 25. And then number 5, Tyrese Halliburton from the Pacers. So those are your
Damn.
top 5 under 25. And to your we're looking at the next rivalry in the West for the next couple of years. We are.
And then you forget about guys like Hallie because he's such in a small market, right? In over there in Indiana, and then you forget about guys like Shea because they're in such a small market.
OKC.
I just think that, man, it's if my final take is that if Cat wins, I think it's more of it's a bigger step to say if Luka wins, because Luka, he is a little bit older than him, but you feel like he's already kind of had his chances, even though there's been very few. I don't know. I guess I'm comparing it to like Patrick Mahomes, right? He comes in as a starter and just wins right away. And then he wins again, and then he wins again, and it's like, oh shit, this guy's gonna be the GOAT. He's gonna be like Brady. So I think that if Ant does that, it's like shit. He already won this year, and this is like the first year where they've had a good squad, everybody's healthy. They're going to be the favorites to me, I would say, in the West, because you would assume that they would go and get better in the offseason, maybe get another piece. I don't know if Conley's going to be there. Maybe they'll go and get a younger guard. I think he said that this might be his last year, because he wants to retire. But that team, man, they're young and they're put together really well. And they could be what Draymond said, talking about dynasties and stuff. So that's kind of my final take on the West. But I'm excited, though, dog. These playoffs, how do you think that they've kind of lived up to the expectation with no LeBron, no Steph, none of these Kevin Durant, to where they're in it, but it's first round and gone. You're not seeing them in the finals, in the Western Conference Finals anymore.
No disrespect to any of those guys that you just named, but I don't really miss them at this point. Like I'm not feeling like, damn, like I wish, the Warriors were playing ball right now. I truly feel like the teams that are playing right now and the players that are on the court right now are the best players in the NBA. Like I think Ant is one of the best players in the NBA. Luka, we just talked about where they stand in terms of rankings with the players. So, and the East may be a little bit different because you got the Pacers there, sneaking up on people at the 6th seed. But the Celtics, they've been the best team all year. They got Jason Tatum, who people he's a top 10 player to a lot of people. So, and Jaylen Brown also highest paid player in the NBA. So I don't miss them at all. I am not gonna say like say it in a disrespectful way because I like watching LeBron James play. If I have an
Yeah.
opportunity to watch LeBron James play, I'm gonna
100%.
watch LeBron because he's one of the goats.
Correct.
So but the guys that are playing right now, it has lived up to expectations, and we're seeing guys for their first time like step up. Like we saw this OKC and Dallas series. Like even though they lost, we saw Shai Gilgeous-Alexander show us that he's for real. Like we saw those 30-point games he was having in the regular season. He said, "Hey guys, let me do you one better. I can do this in the playoffs. Still need to get the dubs, but yeah, man, I've liked this NBA playoffs with no stars."
I'm liking it, bro, because how many years can you see, that LeBron style offense, right? It's like give it to LeBron, everybody clear out and post up. How many years are you gonna see that KD, back it down mid range at the elbow? How many times are you tired of seeing, Curry just run around, coming off screens and shooting the three? Hey, that's all well and good. But after a while, it's like, man, like put something else on the TV. I want to see something else. I like watching Ant play because he reminds me of like Kobe. He's just different. It's a different game. Luka, same thing. It's a different game. The Lukas and the Ants and the Wembys right now, it's a different style of basketball. They just hoop differently, right? It's a style. It goes back to like the Parks where, you go to a pickup game and you can tell that guy's game is different than his. It's just and it's like you go to the park all the time and it's just like, I know that guy's going to do this. I know that guy's going to do that. And it just gets boring. You don't want to go to the park anymore. And now it's kind of like going to the park with these guys and just seeing something new and seeing something fresh. Besides the faces, it's seeing their different games, man. Ant's got that killer instinct. I love, seeing Luka just with the step backs, from, logos and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's handling the ball and he's doing it. And as much as I hate to say it, I mean, seeing us almost 8-footer out there, dribbling it between his legs, throwing it off the damn backboard. I've never seen that. I don't think anybody's ever seen that. And that's some shit that's exciting, bro. So like you said, it's no disrespect to the older generation, but sometimes you just want to see something else on TV.
Yeah.
And as fans, I think that's good because you're bringing in a whole new audience of people.
For sure. Even though people have been making fun of the Eastern Conference, I do think the NBA in totality is in good hands. I think there's a lot of talent across the league, even though there are some bad teams sprinkled out there. But that's just the fact of the matter that you're going to have your bad teams. But I think the talent is as good as it's ever been. And just real quick, back to Ant. He is different when you watch him on the court. He has a different like gear to him almost. Like when he decides to truly attack the rim, he has a different level of burst. Like he's playing at a completely different speed when he decides to take off. It's a joy to watch. And we were talking about it, a couple weeks ago on the pod. He's a 3-level scorer at this point in his career, and it's crazy because he didn't have that coming in. At least I didn't think at that efficient of a level. So at 22 years old, the world is yours, Anthony Edwards.
Shit, man. I was talking to somebody, and they said, "Isn't it crazy how I saw him like drive in, and then all of a sudden he just jumped up and was gonna like slam it on someone." And they're like, "I've never seen that before." It's just the type of aggressiveness that
exactly
he plays with is something that you really don't see. And the thing I like about it, and this is what somebody told me too. They're like, "Man, I was watching y'all's podcast, and y'all were giving fucking Ant his flowers like the whole show." And I'm like, bro, I mean, because you got to give flowers where they're due. And I think he's the face of the league right now. And not only that is he just so young, and he puts the team on his back, and he makes everybody relax and just play better.
He has a different level of maturity at that age.
And you see that from him that you don't see from other guys, because being a Lakers fan, Anthony Davis, LeBron, I mean, I'll admit, they're calling for fouls every damn play. They're throwing themselves on the floor. The whole flopping thing that came into the NBA was a really, really bad look. And you don't see that from Ant, man. You don't see him crying. And he'll chatter with the refs, but you don't see him flailing on the ground and holding his eye, and the trainer coming out.
Yeah, nah, he doesn't do that.
That's what's badass about him too, bro. But
hell yeah.
But shit, man. Yeah, I mean, we can keep talking, whatever. But it was We Talking Shop. It's just when you go to the barbershop and you're getting your hair cut and you're just talking, relaxing. That's the vibe that we try to give tonight. But
have you gotten those ants in the? Nah, have you gotten those ants in the mail yet?
Nah, bro, I haven't gotten them yet. I'm having a baby, so now all the fucking
There we
money's
go.
gotta go. All my
There we
money's
go.
booked for the next, several
Congratulations,
years.
congratulations on that. I saw you're gonna have a little boy. So
Yeah, man.
yeah,
Yeah, it was a surprise, bro. I thought it was a girl for sure, 100%. Like, but like I've been betting lately. I would have bet that it was a girl, and I would have lost that too. So.
that would have been a good bet to lose. But that's awesome. That's awesome.
Shit, man.
Congratulations.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate it. Anything else, dog, you want to talk about, or are we good to
Nah,
go?
dude, we're good to go. Just excited to watch this basketball game that's about to tip off, and go Dallas Stars are about to go in the Western Conference Finals against the
Right.
Oilers and NHL. So yeah, man, we're good. Good spot for sports right now.
Shit,
OTAs just started.
everybody's doing good except our boys, huh? The
Yeah,
Dallas
well,
Stars, the Mavericks, and we're
hey,
fucking talking about Netflix and Jerry Jones.
I just saw a
Well,
highlight. Made me
breaking
feel.
news.
No, I just saw a highlight. Made me feel
Oh.
like I was in 2014 again. Dak to Zeke. Dak to Zeke again in OTAs. Hey, I'm living on cloud 9 right now with
Oh.
Dallas Cowboys right now. Zeke is wearing the number 15, taking it back to his Ohio State days.
Oh man.
Hey man, we just talk. Jerry just knows how to rope us back in. It just took him to sign Zeke, and I'm like, hey, I can dust off my Zeke jersey. I don't have to buy a new jersey this year. I'm good to go. I'm good to go for 2024.
Or you were like, you know what, my Zeke jersey's kind of old. I want to go get a new one.
Get that
You know,
15.
yeah, with the 15. Jerry ain't stupid. He's like, all right, Zeke, you can come back, but you can change your number, boys. We got to sell more of your jerseys.
Gotta
I
sell
don't
more
want to see all
jerseys.
that. I don't want to see them 21s, sitting in the stands anymore. We need to sell something different. Put on the
Yeah.
15. Yes,
Hell
sir.
yeah. Hey, but things are good again with Zeke back in town. So
Yeah, man.
I'm
I'm
good.
excited. Fuck it. All right, that was it. If you like what you saw, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and I think Justin's always throwing us on YouTube as well. So quick show, a little unsurprised live show. I thought we were gonna do a
Oh, yeah.
recording, which we really don't do. Roland likes to go live because it's just
Straight
cool.
to the
It's a
people.
lot funner. I like it as well. So
Cut out the middle.
either way, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and share.
Peace.
And let me find this video so you can take a